4th, 2024 Board of Education meeting to order at 7:07 p.m. So first up is the Pledge of Allegiance. Would our students like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Yeah. Okay. Ready when you are.
I pledge allegiance
I pledge
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Dr. Willett, we have a full audience here, so would you like to start with the acknowledgements?
Yes, so tonight we have the pleasure of having some really cool acknowledgements to make here. First, we're going to start off with the CABE Student Leadership Awards. And then we're going to go on and acknowledge students for the wonderful artwork that you see presented around this room that adorns it, makes us all happy when we look at it. So it's a great way to be able to start today. We have 4 students and their families who have joined us, and we're very thankful to see you.
Recording in progress.
You're going to be recorded for forever and ever. You know, feel free. I do always want to say you do not have to stay for the whole meeting. We're honoring you in the beginning for a reason, and then it's a beautiful day, and you have all the homework to do and all of that. So I don't feel like you have to, stay to be polite. So I'd like to start, and I'll read each student's name and give you a little rundown on each of the kids and why they won the award. And it is a very competitive award. When you think about it, they're only selecting 2 kids from each school. So the entire school population, it's only 2 from each school. And so they review a lot of information on all the students, and the students that you have here tonight rose right to the top, and the staff and the administration felt that these kids were awesome examples of great leaders. So first, and again, I'll read the name and then give the award. And then we may ask you, students, I know it's sometimes petrifying to speak in a situation like this, but we might ask you to introduce who's here with you. So think about that in a minute, a little heads up, we'll ask you that in a second, okay? So the first honoree tonight is Daniel Tarasuk. Danny, yeah. Danny sets an awesome example for his peers in how to interact and behave with others in our school community. He's always completing his work on time, makes an effort to always be around for others and help them whenever they need it. Danny's always a model of behavior, both academic and otherwise. The students look up to him, and he is a great example. The teachers love having him in the classrooms because he's really he's really almost another teacher in there. He holds all the kids to a high standard because he holds himself to high standards, and he was voted by the 8th grade class as class president. So amazing. I never did that, Danny. Amazing. Danny proves that he is a leader in so many ways, and he offers so many things to the kids. Sometimes being a vocal leader is one way of doing it, and he certainly can do that. But he also demonstrates all the time, beyond the rhetoric of, say, a vocal leader, he also demonstrates great integrity, amazing work ethic, and maybe most importantly these days, a lot of compassion for others, and he shows it to others. So, Danny, you want to come up and get the introduction?
Dr. Willett, you want to do it here?
Yeah, why don't we do it right here in the middle, so you have the plaque in the back.
Okay, sure. You guys want to? Sorry, see, Danny, what happens when you become famous? You want to- Yes, it is. It's beautiful. So Danny, who do you have with you tonight?
I got Allie. Allie, raise your hand. So there's
Hey.
my sisters, Emily, raise your hand.
All
That's
right.
my other sister, mom, and then dad.
Nice. You guys proud of your brother? You proud of your bro here? Nice. Well, Danny, if there's something you want to ask for,
Danny, you gonna keep Dylan in mind for me?
What?
You gonna keep Dylan in mind for me?
Yeah.
Our next honoree tonight is Alexandria Vigard. Alex has consistently gone above and beyond in all of her classes. Her teachers acknowledge that she's amazing, brings new perspectives to every class that she's in. She is a friend. She is described as a friend to all and has engaged and is highly engaged in volunteer activities within the school and helping in the school community. She, and this is the word they used, radiates. You radiate. You're radiating, not in a bad way, in a really good, positive energy, and is a leader who shows great care for everyone that she interacts with. She has, been seen as a role model in the school, and she can exemplify, which is really hard these days. She can show other students that you can have fun while still working in academics and in community, to be inclusive and do intellectual risk taking and be kind. And, sometimes school seems so heavy and so, such a burden to carry. But she makes it fun, and she helps show to other students that it can be fun. So, she gives the gift of kindness, the gift of, happiness, and she is a gift to our school district. So thank you.
Here, you unlock the door.
Who do you have with you tonight?
I have my dad and my brother Jake.
Oh, cool. My dad, hi, brother Jake. Brother Jake, you proud here? Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
At the high school level, we have the honor tonight of having with us Connor Grady. Connor is a very strong student, and anyone who knows Connor knows this. He is the class of 2024 president. He is a member of the National Honor Society, the World Language Honor Society, a recipient of the Harvard Book Prize, Rensselaer Medal Award, Honors Modern U.S. History Award, French Award, something, definitely, I never got the French Award, but, or any of these, really. Anyway, he's been on the honor roll for 4 years, if you can believe it, and also got a Business Education Award at Tolland High School. He is a CCC all academic, actually, as the sports go, they do the sports and then they do the sports honor athletes. And so he has earned the CCC all academic recognition while playing varsity lacrosse. He's also a member of RAGE, which again, not a bad thing, it's RAGE Robotics. RAGE is a funny name, but he's in that club and does a lot of robotics and gadget engineering there, and is recognized for that. He's in our engineering pathway. He's also in DECA, and he is a link crew leader, which means that he really helps other students find their way. He's part of the THS band, and he is always striving, as you can see, to excel academically, but also as a mentor and to support others around him. He is a true leader. Congratulations. What do you have with you tonight, Carmen?
My parents and my grandmother.
Anything special about your parents or your grandmother you want to share?
My mom is a counselor.
Oh, yes, she does a great job every day. Yeah. Thanks for having me. All right, and of course, last but not least, in any manner or form, is Anna Kilinowski. Anna is an extremely strong student, as you might imagine. She is a member of the National Honor Society, a recipient of the Honors Advanced Pre-Calculus Award. If this were the Academy Awards, they'd definitely be singing me off. There's so many things to say about y'all that it's, you know, there's just a lot of awesome stuff. Also the Bausch and Lomb Honorary Science Award, which is huge. The Honors Algebra 2 Award, the French Award. She's earned high honors in the high honor roll all 4 years at THS, carried an incredible GPA that goes beyond the 100 possible to like 119. And additionally, she's an active member of the Audio Visual Support Club. So Anna, we could definitely use you here. As you can tell, it's way too long to set this up. She'd probably be able to do it in like 3 minutes, as opposed to my whatever it was. Anyway, she's amazing. She helps out as a mentor, helps out as a technician. She's an active member of the Unified Friends and a link leader, which means, again, she really helps kids in need, you know, helps them in their time of struggle as a peer mentor. And she obviously excels academically as a mentor and really helps support those around her. She is also another amazing leader. Congratulations, Anne. So who do you have?
Just my parents.
Sean?
My sister didn't want to come. My sister didn't want to come.
No, that's okay. Well, congratulations. All right. Congratulations. I'm gonna say that this CADE stands for Connecticut Association of Boards of Education. So it's a recognition of boards of education for you. So you did an amazing job. You board, I recognize you here. Right, you're welcome. All right, any other questions or comments? Anyone wants to kind of throw out there?
Just like to say congratulations to you all for wonderful accomplishments and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. One more round of applause. Trust me, you're not hurting anyone's feelings. It's a lot nicer out there than in here. Feel free to stay. You're not happy.
Congratulations.
For so long.
Take care, guys.
Mrs. Grady is awesome. I should have had that. She's amazing. You know, both student council. Yeah. High school. High school.
Not only as being with his president.
I think she taught.
And his youngest little sister.
This is great.
I should have.
Very talented and
Should have thrown that.
inspiring
I
family.
can feel it in this handshake.
Older senior.
That's
a future state president of the DECA right there.
Oh, it's nice. I can see that.
He's got that suit going. and-
Yes.
Right now it's small.
No.
Oh, he's get up for the high school there.
Yes, I was. All right, Dr. Villette, you want to move on to the artwork?
Sure. So as I said, we have some great artwork in the 6th floor of the chambers here. And sometimes people don't realize that they feel like it's a Harry Potter building when we say the 6th floor, because it doesn't look like there are 6 floors, but that's including the annex. So anybody at any time can come to the 6th floor and take a look at this awesome artwork that we have out here today. So we do have a couple of artists, and unfortunately, I'm not sure which which piece of art goes to each artist. So I'm just going to read their names to honor them tonight as artists that were selected to be displayed here. So as I read their names, just please know that they've done an amazing thing for us, making this place look great. So to honor tonight, Daniel Borofsky, Gabriel Burnham, Cadence Kissel, Skylar Clements, Layla Crawford, Isabella Damata, Emerson Hurd, Brooke Holcomb, Elise Hurlbut, Kevin Hurtado, Gwendolyn Knight, Emma Little, Nevena Lazinski, Brady Moore, Benjamin Pelosi, Skylar Potvin, Jacob Strogoff, and Ilet Zadrowski. So there you go. Wait, a few more at the bottom here. Lily Balbaugh, Sophia George, and Jared Tetro. So congratulations to all of these students. Thank you for portraying and giving us the opportunity to look at your artwork. We'll round it up.
Great, thank you. So moving on to additions to the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda tonight? No? Okay. Next is the approval of minutes. So I will entertain a motion to approve the March 27, 2024 minutes.
So, second.
Bill, right? So Jaden,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Rainey,
Aye.
and we don't have Katie on yet, right? No, and I am an I as well. Minutes are approved. Next up is public participation. So the members of the Tolland Board of Education welcome members of the public to share their thoughts and ideas at this time. When appropriate to do so, members of the board and the administration may respond to comments during points of information. However, in consideration of those in attendance and in an effort to proceed in a timely manner, follow-up discussion may need to take place outside of the meeting setting. So if you are in the room and you would like to speak, please raise your hand and you can come up to the owl, state your address, and you will have a 2-minute limit. Anyone online, please raise your hand and we'll go back and forth. So would anyone like to speak in the room?
We just have a question. We have a question. Is that regarding the previous minutes or is that for today's agenda?
For today's meeting.
Okay, I do have something.
Come on up.
And what I have to say pertains to the,
Usually we start with name and then.
yeah. I'm Diana Norris, 300 Plains Road, Tolland, and I'm speaking to the CAGB item on the agenda. So Dr. Willett and members of the Board of Education, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you. As I said, my name is Diana Norris and my husband and I have owned a home in Tolland since 1990. I am also an action team member with Connecticut Against Gun Violence, or CAGB. And according to a 2019 U.S. Secret Service analysis of targeted school violence, the analysis was performed by the U.S. Secret Service National Threat Assessment Center. 75% of firearms used in school shootings were obtained from the home of a parent or a close relative. So regarding this, CAGB has developed a school safety initiative that I have previously had an opportunity to discuss with Dr. Willett. And the initiative simply entails a written communication to parents and guardians of public school students that just reminds people to please follow the Connecticut laws regarding safe storage of firearms. The primary goal, obviously, of the initiative is to prevent students from accessing and bringing firearms onto school property. In this communication, no one is asked if they own a firearm. It's just a simple, non-confrontational safety reminder, not unlike reminders to change your batteries and your smoke and CO alarms, to wear a seatbelt, to not drink and drive, to not text and drive. So it's just a safety reminder like that. And all of these measures obviously have significant potential to save lives. There are many towns in Connecticut that have already followed through with this initiative. And this initiative is also supported by our U.S. Secretary of Education, Miguel Cardona. To simplify the initiative, CAGB has published a template for superintendent and Board of Education to adapt and use, or, your own. In Greenwich, they made it part, I'm sorry, I'm done, that's my last thing. In Greenwich, they just made it part of the newsletter that went home to parents. So happy to answer any questions and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Would anyone online like to speak? Anyone else in the room? One more time online. All right, I think we can close public participation. Next up is correspondence.
We had 4 emails come in concerning the budget. We had 1 email come in questioning SROs and the hiring of them. We had another email come in speaking directly about the athletic conference that the high school plays in. We had a question come in about staffing levels in the high school. And then, all of the emails are great. But there was one in particular that jumped out at me that I hope you allow me a little bit. It talked about the line between Republicans and Democrats that I think this board kind of hates, that the stigma is there. And I just want to say that I appreciate how we've come through since the election time. This board has come through and we have debated respectfully and communicated to each other respectfully. And you know, that's a testament to all the individuals here, and I appreciate that. And I am glad that at least one email came in, you know, talking directly to that. And I just wish that could flow over so that we could get rid of this line, because we agree on way more than we disagree on. So that was it.
Me too. Thank you, Bill. I agree.
Thanks, Bill. Second that.
All right, so moving on to points of information. Would any board members like to speak at this time? I do have something. I just wanted to touch upon, at our last meeting, we held a moment of silence for the passing of one of our students, our 5th grade students, AJ Salisbury. And because it was a special meeting, we didn't have the opportunity to comment at that time. And I know that there were some of us who wanted the chance to do so. I want to first express my deepest condolences to AJ's family. I personally didn't have the pleasure of knowing AJ. Although like many of you, we all knew him and cheered him on from afar. My son still proudly wears his AJ Strong bracelet. There are no words adequate enough for a loss like this, but I truly wish his parents and his siblings peace and comfort at this time and always. I also wanted the opportunity to thank Dr. Willett and our administrators at each of our schools for ensuring that the proper supports for our students and staff are in place. TIS was understandably the heaviest impacted. And I want to thank the principal, Jim Deneen, for the eloquent and beautiful email he sent to parents, where he touched upon the gift it was to know AJ personally, and also how the staff and students would grieve together and support each other while doing so. I also wanted to thank our TIS guidance counselor, Ashley Bishoprick, who is an amazing support to the children there as they grapple with trying to understand and process this, while also grieving herself.
That was beautiful. What about that? I would echo what you said to the staff and to the family. I can't say it any better than you did, so thank you. And to our students that came tonight, what an awesome and fantastic accomplishment. The future is so bright. This is what our future is going to bring, is folks like Danny and the other students that received awards tonight. So pretty proud to be a part of that this evening. Thanks, Jen. I couldn't say it any better, so I'm sure it's appreciated.
Anybody else?
Exactly what Dana said. I think that was a perfect statement. And I hope they're provided the comfort that they need right now. So thank you for making that statement.
Thank you, Jen.
Anybody online? Okay. Let's move on to student representatives report.
Okay, so next Friday is prom, May 3rd. Tickets are being sold. We sold on Tuesday, also today, and we will be selling tickets tomorrow. Tuesday was for full tables of 10, Wednesday for groups of 4 and above, and Thursday is groups for less than 4 or singular tickets. But if you have a group of 10 or a group of 4 or more, we'll still take your tickets. And
My dress is really cute. On May 18th at THS, we have our cornhole tournament. It's $40 for student and staff teams and $50 for everyone else. And it's gonna be a really fun time, so make sure to show up if you're good or bad at cornhole.
Oh, yes, me too. Okay. DECA Nationals is in 2 days, people. Let's go. 4 a.m. sharp. We will be at Bradley Airport. I'm so excited. We'll be at Bradley Airport, setting off to the beautiful land of Anaheim, California. We're going for 6 days. It's gonna be so much fun. 13 of us are going, as well as our advisors, Miss Bridge and Miss Nesbitt. And we're looking to bring home some W's,
All the trophies.
all the trophies. Last year, we had international winners. This year, we're gonna have all international. So I'll keep you updated on the 13 international winners. And back to prom again. Next week is prom safety week. And the student council will be having a new prom statistic every day on the morning announcements. We will also have a crash car display. And Tuesday through Thursday, you can sign the prom promise at lunch.
And that's it. Any questions or comments?
Quick question regarding morning announcements. Are you still doing the live broadcast morning?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And of course, best of luck. Good luck to all the
Thank you.
13 DECA, including yourself, Audrey. That's awesome. I am so excited to hear about it. So Anaheim is like one of the places I never got to go. And man, I am so looking forward to you guys getting there. I mean, you guys are gonna have a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
best of luck. You guys are gonna kick some butt, Middletown butt, more specifically. So
Can you live stream it for Jaden?
that's
It will be live streamed.
They always have a,
Yeah.
is DECA.org?
I think it's DECA.org. So if you want to watch the, like the medals, the announcements, you can log on. You can watch 3 hours of people who don't know winning medals, just like me.
Maybe we will. Winning medals. All right, awesome. Thank you.
All right, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Good night. Have a good time at prom.
Yes.
you.
Okay, moving on to committee and liaison reports. Did you copy?
We had to cancel today due to things happening at the Board of Education.
Same with curriculum. Don't think.
Yeah, we had a meeting,
Oh, you did.
yes, we went over the or community survey with students, staff, parents, regarding co-curriculars. Just touch base on some of the statistics, and at the next meeting, we're gonna go over there was like 200 and something, there was a lot of notes from people, there was a other section, a lot of people wrote a few words here or there, comments, so.
It was a great response.
It was really robust
Great
response.
idea, Mr. Thompson. It really did.
Yeah.
We got a lot of information out of it.
Yeah, so I think we have another meeting or 2 or 3 of information probably to weed through and see what direction we wanna do and hopefully get something going for next school year.
Great, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah,
Dan, did we have FFC?
We did. It was on the 17th. Nothing big to report. I see obviously that the monthly financial report is on here, so I'll let Walt walk through there, but hopefully some good news coming in the next few months. But I'll put together a larger report, more in depth for the next one. Thanks.
Okay, great, thank you. Am I missing anyone? I think that's it, right?
Notifications.
Yeah. No, go check.
yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the chairperson's report. I am not the chair. I don't have a report tonight. So next is the superintendent report. Dr. Willett, would you like to start with K1, the monthly financial report?
All right, very exciting, yes, as you know, this actually normally occurs at the beginning, the first meeting of the month. This month it is the second because we did not have a first meeting of the month. Couple of, I'll try to give highlights, more than, just go through each line, but the budget as usual is presented, multi-lines, one pager. And in the FFC reports and the FFC committee, they go into a deeper dive multi-page report. So this gives you the kind of flyover, and then FFC, if you ever want to attend that, there's, about 3 to 6 pager for that one. A couple of things to note, as we come into the end of the year, stipends are over budget. Part of this is because the stipends include the things we give to grade leaders, athletic coaches, liaisons, extracurricular activities are in this category, mountain, for instance, DECA, mountain bike club, all of that. And so what's happening is we're not so far still a little bit behind in collecting. collecting information, because as you know, there is some pay to play, pay to participate. And so, we're seeing this with lunches too. We're not getting, everything that we would normally be getting in the time that we were getting it. So we're gonna reach out and continue to work on that. But we do have a number of people that have done this for a few years, and it is in the contract. There are specified amounts that people get, and after a certain number of years, for instance, for a coach, coaches with 5 years of experience get a little bit more. So some of those changes have also affected this line. So it's a bit over budget by about 40K. Health, life, disability insurance, over by 47K. And so what happens is, some of the vacancies we've had this year, a lot fewer than previous years and so on, but when people aren't paying into insurance, it can sometimes make a deficit in the line. So we're over by about 48,000 in that line too. New hires, resignations, retirees, enrollment, these all can change this line. So that, we expect that to fluctuate a little bit as we come to the end of the year, but it will likely end the year over budget. Another kind of big moving item, kind of skip over some of the smaller ones, although nothing is small, but relatively. Professional ed services, 320, that's over budget by about 12,000 right now. This balance could change as we continue to kind of go through the rest of the year, and unexpected expenses for students, educational services can be affected by that. We do have a budget freeze, so only the ones that are required by 504s, PPTs, and so on, will be executed, because we're trying to be careful about where we will be at the end of the year. So generally, those are going to be because of services that needed to be provided for our students' program. Legal audit consultation services over by 23,000. Special education, teacher contract negotiation, and other legal things have impacted that line. I think we've talked a little bit about that before. Tech services, 64,000 over. This is due to several online services that have increased. So when we do have these, contracts that come up, they'll come up every 1 year, every 2 years, every 3 years, and so on, depending on the contract, or rather, depending on the subscription. It's more a subscription than anything else. And as you may have noted in your own lives, the subscriptions for everything seem to be going up. Your cable subscription, everything, every time that, we get a year, sometimes it's edged up by a little bit here, a little bit there. And so what's happening here is these online services are edging up their prices as books become less part of the picture, and these multimedia resources become more of the picture. Companies are pushing up those prices. So the other budget lines on these particular areas will be underspent, so it'll kind of balance out. But right now, this tech services line takes that hit. Transportation, 510, over budget. We talked about this before as well. This has a lot to do with the contract that we have. It also has to do with, transportation for what we consider McKinney-Vento situations. We have certain homelessness, certain homeless family, people that are in a homeless situation. That is a little higher this year than it has been. That's been happening lately as a trend across the state. And so we provide transportation outside of district for that kind of situation sometimes when someone has become homeless. Advertising is a small amount over. Tuition, 560 over by 275. This is really due to additional outplacements. Students with special needs generally will need services based on what their IEPs and PPTs determine. So we generally do encumber that, and we are expecting that. So it's been high or higher over the last few years, not just for Tolland, but for other places.
Well, can I pause you for one
Yeah.
second? Can you put it up on the?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Okay. Page 14, yeah. Anyway, we received 2 payments from the state with respect to special education reimbursement. The first is in February, the second is in May. So we'll see some bouncing here, but we do also plan for that. So this line will probably still be over, but we'll be monitoring that carefully. Let's see.
And that was the tuition education, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's tuition code 560, 560 for 275. And again, that's for, we had some additional outplacements. Also keep in mind that on the positive side of things, the programs that we have that are cost avoidance programs like LEAP and TTA actually provide, they probably save us more than 24 outplacements really. Because we have 30 and maybe 10 or 18 kids in those programs respectively. And so even if a percentage of them were outplaced, it would be much, much, much more. So it's a quality program in district for kids, and it also helps cost avoid a bit too. So where even though we do have an overrun in the line, it could be a lot worse if we didn't have our own programming. Greatly outpaces what we spend on it too. So I think that's basically the big stuff. If anybody has any questions you want to throw at me, and I can, if I'm not sure about it, get you an answer by next time.
Anybody have any questions? Dr. Willard, I know that we started sending out the communications for ESY. Where does that fall? Which line item is that? Is that under the special education
It's a
services?
special education program, so yes, but I can find the exact material.
No, so it falls within that budget year, and then this summer is gonna stay in this year's budget.
Yeah, if we, one of the things that sometimes gets confusing is during the COVID years, we received additional funds. So we had 300 kids in the program and we were able to invite general ed. The ESY now is for students that are students with exceptionalities or that have some special reason why, they would be joining us for the summer. So that's generally it's a pupil services, which is also known as special education outreach to students who qualify for that service.
That's all I have.
For the tech services, might be wrong information, but I'm just wondering, I know we had a curriculum meeting, with the reading, the English language arts, ELA. She had mentioned that there was some programs that were kind of changing and we're getting some monies for some, that for like the first year of these programs. Is that money in this? Is the cost in this line item is, I guess, for this tech services for all of the stuff that we're needing to do online for the state mandates? And then do we get another line item that's kind of counterbalancing some of that cost on this line item?
What she was referring to, I believe, was the inter-reading grant we got as part of the program that for the state that has the required, you have to use only these 6 required programs.
Yes.
So that money would be coming in, I'd have to check when and where it comes in, but once we get it for that one time. So we'll buy materials with it, whether it comes in now or next year, depending on what side of July 1st it's coming. We'll buy materials for the programming, and it's about 70,000 to 80,000, right? And then the training and everything like that out into the future, it won't be astronomical, but that'll be on us. So,
But is the tech services actually the program cost and all that in that 706,000? But that's.
we didn't know we were gonna get that or know about that until later this year, so it probably wasn't originally budgeted into there.
Oh, so maybe that's part of our overrun
But I can
possibly?
check,
Or
yeah.
64,000 over.
It might be, I can check, but maybe in anticipation of the grant coming in. But I will check that.
Thank you.
Yeah, where did the grant for inter-reading come in?
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Jane, you have?
Yeah, just a clarifying question or two. Dr. Wood, did you ever, and maybe you did, and I might have just not seen it, that, and it's, again, it's relatively small compared to the other line items, but that parent activity line, maybe it's existed for the entirety of the 2 terms I've been on the board, but I don't know where that came from. I'm still sort of lost on.
That's budgeted by the athletic supervisor for, registration fees paid to other districts by athletes participating in a co-op team or one of the sports. So it's to offset the students who are, playing sports that are not district supports, that are not native to our district,
Yeah.
like hockey,
Yeah,
that kind of thing. So it's meant to offset the cost for those families.
gotcha, okay, thank you.
I don't remember if it's in posterity, if it's been eked out that way. I
Yeah.
think that's a fairly new thing that a previous board did. So it probably got added in this year or recently, or got eked out of one of the other lines and
Gotcha.
separated.
So I have a hard time remembering when that, right.
Yeah, it
I
came up
appreciate that.
last board, somewhere in the cycle.
Yeah, thank you. No, I appreciate that. It makes sense. And then really quickly, that travel and, I have my glasses appointment is Saturday, I promise. Conference, that travel and conference line, 580, is that, and this I probably should have asked months ago. Is that, are we covering our advisors, for DECA, for example, Mrs. Bridges, trip out to California, is that, helping cover the cost for advisors going on trips like that? Is
That could for staff, it's mostly, what you're describing is mostly paid for by the students themselves, although when we have to send staff, that would be included in something like that. It also could be, if we have that CAVE conference, for instance, that's down in Mystic, that would be something if board members went, things like that would come out, or if staff went, or if one of us was presenting. Somebody reached out to me to possibly present at that. So if I was presenting at that, you might be paying, whatever, and say maybe it's not me, but if someone else presenting for the district, you'd probably be paying the travel and conference fees to present at this thing on behalf of Tolland, that type of thing.
Okay, so it does include, travel for an advisor that's going elsewhere with a group of kids.
It could if that advisor is a staff member,
Right.
in
Staff.
certain circumstances,
Right.
or for a certain program that they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Science conference, if they're sending the science teachers to do something. Some of these, things have to be kept for some people's certifications.
sure.
So it's just part of, be part of that.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. So if we can move on to K2, which is the superintendent evaluation.
So just a reminder, around this time of year, this is, I think in policy, I can't remember exactly off the top of my head which one, but on the policy, it gives us this timeline. And so we are entering that window, and I'll be talking to the chair, co-chair soon about, how we progress as we move forward. It usually starts with a meeting, me with the chair and the co-chair, and then we come back and put out information about how it is to proceed. So I think we're having that meeting Monday. What's that? That's vice chair. So that I promoted you. We are actually the acting chairs.
Yes.
So, in any case, we're into that zone of time. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know. And it'll usually complete somewhere around June.
Any questions on that? All right, K3, the 2022-2023 profile and performance report narratives.
So every year, I put in front of the board, or will be putting in front of the board, what your profile and performance narratives are. They're called PPRs. And so they're generated by the staff. They have to be a certain number of characters, which is why they sound awkward. Because we're required by the state to report on these categories. But it can only be, I forget, like one of them is only 3,500 characters and the other one is only 800 characters. And so when I say character, I mean, it includes periods and spaces. So you have to pack it into a, very tight kind of thing. So it tends to have a kind of truncated, weird kind of, language to it. And so this goes into what's called PPRs for the district. And so when somebody goes to the state and looks up information about Tolland, and they want to see what the outreach activities are for Tolland, this is what they see. It's a place called EdSite, they'll get that. It's also where sometimes you'll see demographic data, how many people are there, enrollment, things like that. So these narratives are part of that, and I just put the narrative in front of the board each year so that you know what's out there. And then every year we update the narrative. So they don't change massively from year to year because there's not that much of a change. Maybe over 5 years there might be. So these are the narratives and it's always a year behind. So when you submit your narrative, the narrative that will be published for this year will come out next year. And then next year, we're doing the narrative for, the previous. So right now, I'm going to begin the process of a narrative that will not be seen until, next year. And that's just how they do it. So I just do this to keep the board informed that these narratives are going in this and, and see if you have any questions about that.
Any questions or
And remember,
comments?
this one is looking back a year too. So there are things that we're doing now that would make it into next iteration of it.
Anybody?
I wasn't here, so I really shouldn't be commenting on it, to be honest with you.
All right, guess we will move on then to new business. So up first, L1 is shortening the school year from 181 to 180 days now.
So as you may recall, on February 8th, I believe it was, we presented the board with the conversation about having a reduction from 182 days to 181 days. And at the time, the board resolved to reduce it from 182 to 181 and to review it again if a school cancellation occurred. And I think there was a feeling that this would not happen. However, this did happen. And I swear to God, I wasn't like specifically trying to do that. Very complicated day. And so where we are now is the state of Connecticut, as I had mentioned before, requires 180 days. If you reduce it now from the 181 to 180, the last day of school will be back on the 14th rather than the 17th. If you do not reduce it, provided we do not have any more snow or weird days, the last day would be June 7th. The graduations and promotions stay the same. So what will happen is they graduate on the 14th and there'll be one extra day of school, which
Right, which is a Monday now.
probably not get high enrollment on that day.
I start school on Friday, not on a Monday.
Right, and ending school on the day of graduation rather than have it.
I thought that was the original thing now.
It was, but then we had a snow day, ice day.
Oh, so
We
push it
only
back
reduced
to that Monday.
Right.
Yeah, oh, I gotcha.
Pushed back. We went from 182 to 181.
Yeah.
Now we've got to decide if we want to go from 181.
So you're saying you think we're safe now?
Well, you're looking up.
Any other questions right now
Knock it on.
on this?
I mean, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Obviously, I always want to have time for our educators in front of our students, right? So that's paramount. And of course, having the 181, 182 days would be the best scenario for all of our students. But realistically, you have the TMS graduation Thursday, you've got the promotion of TIS Thursday, right? And then you have the high school graduate. I mean, to be honest, the enrollment would be deplorable, don't you think? I mean, I don't. It would be, because, conversely, you want those kids with the staff members. But I mean, what educational stuff is really done on that last day of school with all the pomp and circumstance. I think it's the right thing to do by our families to keep it for Friday. That's what I think.
Anybody else want to add anything?
I'll just
Go ahead. Tim.
I'll just add, if, we're going based on the argument that, we want the kids in school, doing the work up to the very last day. I think it's a lot more beneficial if you're starting and ending a unit the same week than starting and then ending on a Monday, the last week, and that's your last grade, you're getting all you. I just think there's benefit for the kids as well, educational benefits there as well. So, I am in full support of, as I have two of my former players staring me down here, moving to 180. Thank you.
Katie?
I just wanted to chime in and agree that I'm not sure that there's a lot of value to bleeding over into that Monday. It's easier on our families, and I think the kids' attention spans will probably be a bit higher if they're not thinking you know, if they're thinking this is the end, they can stay focused through that Friday and then let things go for the summer.
Anybody else? I'll just say that, I think given where it falls, it makes it for me, an easier decision, to keep everything to a Monday and having post-graduations after the weekend, makes it a little bit easier of a decision as well. And then, again, the small things like transportation savings. I mean, do we really want to, if we're going to have such a reduced population, probably, do we really want to run all the buses? Do we want to have the cafeterias cook all the food? It's going to be hot. Do we want to have kids on the hot buses? Do we want to run the geothermals? I mean, I'm sure their staff is going to be in the schools too, but I imagine when there's lots and lots of bodies in there, we're probably using more energy. So I don't know. It just, given that there's probably not a lot of academics that happen on the last day of school, it just kind of makes sense to me as well. Especially when it's a Monday, yeah. Thought I saw a hand pop up. Does anybody else? Does anybody else have anything? All right, so I think for now, what we do is we'll move this to board action, right? We have to vote for that.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a
Well,
motion.
I think, are you in board action?
No, I thought we were in new business.
Okay. Just
Could be
to
wrong.
make sure.
Yeah, they were just new business.
I'd like to make a motion to move it to board action.
So moved. Oh, second.
Wait, what time is it?
Apparently you got promoted tonight too.
I'm sorry, I'd like to move it to board action on, what's the number?
You'll make the
Oh,
M1, is that N? N1.
N1, thank you.
Second.
Okay. So Jaden,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Rini,
Aye.
Katie,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well. So we have moved that to board action N1. That brings us to L2, the Connecticut Against Gun Violence.
So, as you heard tonight, CAGB, provided some information for the district and, asked the district to provide that information to parent guardians. The item illustrates and ignores this communication, and also connected to that item, are the links that also give it some context. There's a sample letter. You probably see that if you are online and you download this, you'll be able to click on the sample letter as well. You can read the letter provided to districts and superintendents to help share with families and parents and guardians. And essentially it's to help remind families of safety as stated.
Okay, any questions or discussion on this?
Does the state of Connecticut not have their own, like child outreach or educational outreach regarding gun safety? Like that's promoted to the parents or to the community as a whole already?
I don't know of one that we're told. The government may put out its own warnings, but not something that we're told to communicate. So this would be something that we would do, as was stated in the district step down. That's community service message. There's an article in there from, it kind of talks about too, that there's a focus from the federal government asking for this to some members of the government.
Do you want to ask Ms. Norris to weigh in? She's here. Could she help answer your question?
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess my question is, I know that you said some other towns in Connecticut have curated their own worksheet here and put it out as a public service. Does the state of Connecticut not itself have its own, like public service announcement regarding this for schools?
No, there's nothing specific, that goes to every household. So this was just a movement, within, public schools asking, just to reach out, just to remind people that the law exists and to follow the law. But no, there is nothing that goes to households, from the state. I mean, obviously, when the law was first passed, there was a lot of press about it and education about it, but nothing that specifically reached out to households.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Is this ask just for a one-time thing, or are we being asked to do it weekly, or what's the ask?
Well, I think the ask, I think it's to send this out this year, one time right now. You could decide if you wanted it to be every year.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the next question I have is why are we limiting this to the school and not going out to the town blast as well? You know, me as I'm a gun owner, gun carrier, and I don't see the negative in this.
I think I would second that. I hadn't thought about it that way in the sense of, why don't we send it out to as many residents in town as possible, not just those who, we are directly, correlated to. And so, I would be in favor, I don't know if we have to advocate for that to the town council in order to do that. I don't know what the process looks like for that, but, I would be completely on board for letting this catch as many eyes as possible. So,
You can ask them, they do forward things for community messages. What you'd be doing today, if you chose to do so, is to authorize the superintendent to provide this communication to families. And I would, that stated there. As far as the town, I can also on your behalf request of the town that they do so. That would be up to them and your umbrella is me and the district. That would be beyond our reach.
yeah, I think that's, just where I'm at with all of this. I think that would be a great step moving forward if this were approved tonight. And then, the extra effort is made to, again, just reach as many people as possible in town, even if it's one person that this helps. That's, that's a win. So, that's all I got. Thank you.
Ms. Norris, did you want to weigh in on his question?
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say that has been done by some towns, or I can't remember the name of the town, but there was one town where they actually had the letter come out from the chief of police, to all the households in the town, but we don't have a police department. But that has been done,
Thank you. Katie?
I just wanted to second what Bill said. As a household that also contains firearms, I think this is really well said. It's really important for our community to know that, how to store your firearm and, the consequences of not doing it properly.
Anybody else?
No.
Did you have?
No, Brian had.
Oh, yeah.
I got a follow-up. So I'm looking at this sample letter here that I have. The one up there, and I'm clicking on a whole bunch of these links. A lot of these links are going to the Giffords Law Center, and it's like quoting what the Connecticut law is. Do we have a link that can be provided right to the state, to where the actual legislative statement is?
I can look for and add anything you want, but, I would have to educate myself as to what specifically we're looking to put here beyond what they already have.
But I think if we're saying in this letter that, oh, this is under Connecticut law, but then you click law or you click whatever, it goes to this law center stating what the law is, but it's not the actual state of Connecticut website with the actual law in print that goes to whatever it is, .ct.org or whatever. That was just concerning to me from a legality standpoint. I don't want to just put something up from a law center versus I'd rather put something, we're saying this is the law, I'd rather it come from the actual law legislative body.
So, this is a suggestion from
No,
them.
I know, I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, what I could do is I can take this letter and vet it with our own attorneys and find, to make sure we're citing the legislation specifically if you want.
Yes, absolutely, I would, yes, please.
I'll wait till you're done.
Oh, I'm done, thank you.
You wanna go too?
Is anybody following up on what Brian asked? I don't know. Katie or Rini, were you following up on what
Yes,
I
yes,
am
I agree
actually.
with Brian, and quite honestly, I feel like this is somewhat better coming from the town council. I'm okay if they're good with it, that we do both to kind of hit as many as people as we can, but it really needs to be vetted through the attorneys and things like that before we just send it out. A great idea, but we want to make sure we know what we're saying.
Katie?
So if you use the footnotes, you can click through to Connecticut's general statute that's listed on there. So I don't disagree that it should go through the town attorney to make sure, but you can get that information from Giffords.
Dr. Willett, has this already gone?
Where?
This is really your first read of this, so, I can, with your instruction, I can vet this legally with the attorney and then make any necessary additions to it. To cite the literature, cite the legislation beyond what's there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna.
So that the motion here, you can either look to make it a second read next time around,
Oh,
or you could, motion to approve and instruct the superintendent to provide the letter to the CHEB or site fire safety to parent guardian, modifying it to cite relevant legislation.
I have a question. Go ahead, Dan. Katie, and I'm gonna pose my question to Katie, and I missed it. You said if we click on the footnotes, we see the statute?
Under notes, yeah.
Yes,
What am I-
that's
Am I
correct.
missing?
If you scroll all the way down, there's a
If you-
section on media requests. It says notes.
Yeah,
On the Gifford page.
The Gifford
And
page.
it pulls up the Connecticut general
Okay.
statutes.
And that statute, okay. Okay,
If you want them to cite
which
it
has the
directly.
legalities of the statute for the state. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm thinking what it sounds like is, do you guys wanna consider this our first read? And Dr. Willett will run it through the attorney.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
So every gun owner that I know knows the laws, knows that you're supposed to secure it. So I'm wondering, do we even need to have any of the hyperlinks on there? It's just a reminder of what we need to do and the safety. Do we even need to worry about any of the hyperlinks?
I know that, some people inherit, like a pad person that they love passes away and then they end up inheriting it and they're not as aware
But if they inherit it, they can't buy ammunition for it unless they're licensed.
unless they get.
So a gun without ammunition is useless.
Unless it comes,
Unless there's 10 boxes of ammo with a gun.
right, that's,
So but whatever the board would like to do, obviously this is why it's here, whatever you feel is the right way to.
I'm following Phil's saying, and I'm appreciative of it, because I will say, as a hesitant family that owns guns, having them secure is paramount. As a parent of young children, having the respect for the weapon and respect for the security, and as the licensed gun owner, like you said, knowing the laws. But I definitely think, what are we trying to do with this here, right? We're trying to remind people to be safe, right? Because when you, to put it in another perspective, when you have an employee who's injured at work, sometimes it's either the brand new employee that doesn't know the processes, or sometimes it's a veteran employee that's been doing it for 30 years that maybe forgets to do one or two steps. And I hate to say it that way, but that's kind of where I'm following you on this. Maybe they forgot to do this or that, or what have you. And something happens because they were more lax, if you will. I think if I'm understanding what this is, and I'm appreciative of what this is, because like the fear is there and the reality of it is there. It's to remind people that, hey, are we doing what we're supposed to be doing with the safety and knowledge of it? Sometimes if you get too wordy, the message is just lost because there's too much stuff and they don't pay attention to the stuff. Studies show that if you get past that first paragraph in the email, you're not going to page 2, 3, and 4, sadly. But are there some that we should have? Are there not? I mean, I definitely think this is a conversation you have. I'm very appreciative of this because I think reminding anybody about gun safety and gun security and awareness and knowledge, any side of education is fantastic, right? I think having it go to the, of course, I would love it to go to all Tolland community. I think what we have the opportunity to do is make sure it hits the 2,000+ students' families first. And if we recommend it to TC, it's up to the TC to send it to the whole town, and hopefully they will pick up what we're putting down and spread it across Tolland. In partnership with Chief Vitale, that talks about safety. You know what I mean? The whole safety week or different things like that. So I definitely think this is a great first step. I think we need to dot our I's and cross our T's, but having this out sooner rather than later, I don't want us having second and third and fourth and fifth reads on this. But I think we need to make sure we have everything buttoned up correctly. But I definitely think this is something that we want to sit on for an extended period of time. That makes sense.
Anybody else? Yeah, I think I'll echo you guys as well. I think that this is wonderful. We all, like Bill said, responsible gun owners, they're doing this anyway. They have this information, of course, but we're all human. We all need reminders. And, to Dr. Willett's point, sometimes firearms end up in your home that you didn't necessarily even suspect. So I don't see a negative in this. I think if it even saves one life, it's certainly worth it. I understand the concern to make sure it's right. I agree with you. I don't believe that this should go beyond a second read. So maybe, we let Dr. Willett just make sure that this is buttoned up and we vote on it next meeting and also send it on to the town.
Is there anything we can do to vote on at this meeting?
I'm just trying to be respectful of
I
everyone. I mean, I think we
Are we gonna
can
have
vote
to-
to move it to board action if you want.
Well, you had mentioned something about removing all of these links. I mean, that decision, I haven't heard a decision whether we're gonna do that or not. And also, are we gonna have the lawyer take a quick
So I guess
glance at it to just review that they're okay with what we're putting out? I know other districts have, but I personally rather spend the $250 and a 1-hour review of this and, before something's just put out to everybody.
My thought is if we can all agree on it tonight, move it to board action and vote on it tonight. If we can remove the hyperlinks, vote to give Dr. Willett permission. It's okay by us, if it's okay by the lawyers. That way we can expedite and get this thing out as quick as possible.
So you're saying that we make a motion to approve it with the caveat of
No
the lawyer,
hyperlinks.
like the lawyer's red penning it?
Yep.
I mean, you can make that motion second, have the discussion, do a roll call. If it succeeds, we go with it. If it fails, then you entertain another motion
Okay.
for something else.
But if
So right
there's
now,
some of
we
these
just-
links that are good though, for people who do wanna look more into it, so I don't know that I wanna kill all the hyperlinks. I was just really wanting. I don't know.
And I'm agreeing with you that it should come from, Connecticut statute.
Yeah,
But if that's gonna take a second read, and then who knows what's gonna happen in that second read, I just wanna get it out there. And if we can remove the hyperlinks to vote on it, to get it out there, then I'm okay with doing that. But, I know if I get it, I'll read it. I'm not going to the hyperlinks. It's a reminder for me to keep my gun safe. I'm not gonna go to the hyperlinks because I know the statute.
You might also have to, if you're entertaining moving this.
Yeah.
Move it to action, then entertain that motion and do it in that.
Yeah, well, let me just take Jaden and then Renee had her hand up too. So Jaden, you wanna?
Yeah, just a quick question. So if we're removing the hyperlinks, are we still attaching the state statutes at the bottom or something? Are we still attaching something where people have direct access to, hey, this is what this is referring to? Is that part of what you're proposing, or just scrap it and leave it to the one-page sort of information sheet?
Yes.
And then from there, folks sort of determine where they find information. Gotcha.
Well, we can be more specific in the discussion and board action before we make a motion,
Is Ricky's hand up?
right? Yeah, and Renee wanted to say, Renee, you all set, Renee, for now?
Well, I put my hand out just because obviously we can discuss it later, but I was a little confused because I thought Bill said everyone that has a gun already knows this. I'm not really in favor of dashing it through without really, getting through it and having it vetted, honestly. I know it's important, but on one hand, we're saying, well, everyone already knows this anyway, and then, so why do we have to rush? So I don't know. It's confusing to me a little bit.
Rini, what I said was everyone that I know that owns a gun knows the laws. And I'm not saying rush through without getting it vetted. I'm proposing that we vote on it without the hyperlinks, giving Dr. Willett permission to have it vetted through the lawyers. And as long as the lawyers stamp off on it, then we've already voted on it. That was my suggestion.
May I ask,
Okay.
Ms. Norris, is this letter that has been sent out, I'm sorry, the information that's been sent out, I know you mentioned one school sent it as part of their bulletin, but you said that the Director of Education signed off on this as well. Has this material been looked at the
Yeah,
state level?
it's always gone through Board of Eds. You know, it's always been presented to Board of Eds, and it's really intended to go out from the superintendent, you know, to parents. So yes, in all the towns that it has gone out, it's gone out in various forms. And some of those hyperlinks, to be honest with you, are for the information of the person reviewing the letter. Like, you don't have to put all those, you know, all those hyperlinks in there. It's also for, as you're reviewing it, where does this information come from? Where's it sourced from?
Mhm.
So like I said, some schools like Greenwich, they have a newsletter such as, you know, we have here in our town that comes out from the superintendent. It was just a paragraph blurb, you know, in the newsletter. That letter is just a guideline, you know, just for information, but it doesn't have to be worded exactly. The most important thing is the message. Right. Yeah.
And the state has deemed this material as
Oh,
well.
yes.
All right, so why don't we do this for now? Why don't we move this to board action, and then, you know, we can make a motion on what we'd like Dr. Willett to prepare. Does that work for now?
Yes, that works for now.
Okay.
Do we need to motion that?
Motion.
I will entertain a motion to
I'll
move it to
motion
board action.
to board action.
Okay.
And to
And
As
to,
N2. Okay, Jaden?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Bill?
aye.
Dana?
Right.
Dan?
Aye.
Rini?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I'm an I as well. So, so moved to item N2 in board action. All right. That brings us to old business, which we have none, and board action.
we have a public participation.
No, exactly.
No. Okay, so the first item in board action is N1.
School district. Yeah.
Okay, so do you have that motion up? No?
That was the way I was hoping it would be easy. We're just gonna scoot on this way.
Relooking. Oh, you want me to read it?
Okay, you can make the motion.
Okay, make a motion to reduce the Tolland Public School student school year 2023-24 from 181 days to 180 days.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Okay, discussion? Nope, nope. All right, then let's vote. Jaden?
Aye.
Right.
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Dana?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Rini?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I am an I as well. So we have shortened the school year to 180 days, ending on, what's that date?
13.
14.
14.
That's right.
Okay, June 14th.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. All right, so Our next item for board action is N2. So would anyone like to propose a motion to get started?
Sure, I'll do it.
Okay. You ready, Dr. Willett? Okay. Oh, you've got one.
It just check to make sure this is what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Motion to approve and instruct the superintendent to provide the letter from the CAGVs regarding firearm safety to parent guardians after being vetted by the board's attorney and modifying it if needed and or to cite relevant legislation from a legislative website.
That would be amazing.
Well, the legislation, on any website.
Yeah,
Well, I was thinking
I want to promote.
we ensure that we have a link to the state,
Yeah.
Okay,
to the state law easily available.
Somebody say.
Okay, so Rini has her hand raised.
Well,
Rini?
we have-
Hold on,
Oh,
you
I'm
made
sorry.
a motion, do you have a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Jade, second.
So Jane, second, now you
Now
have discussion.
discussion. Come on, I'm
Oh, you're
doing
doing
error.
great.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, Rini, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just honestly feel like when we do, you know, policies and things like that, we have an opportunity to have a first read and a second read. And I understand this is important, but I'm not personally comfortable with just, you know, okay, well, if there's changes, you all just go ahead and do it, and then we never really get to see it or anything like that. So that's a concern. I have not to say that there would be anything wrong with it. I'm sure it would be fine, but I'm just not comfortable with that. I feel like we should do a second read.
Dr. Willett, could you provide, if we do go ahead with this, could you provide it to us in the dashboard and maybe
Oh, yeah.
give us 24 hours to contact you with any concerns or
Sure, if you want me to do that, yeah.
do you have another
But
suggestion?
well, what happens is, if you do contact me, it's 5, if you contact me, or 3, if you contact me, does that mean I just hold on to it to the next meeting? If nobody contacts me, do we move it forward? We can't have a back and forth on it, that would be a meeting outside the public eye. So, you might be, if that's how you are thinking of going, you might want to just, I'll get it changed, I'll get it modified, vetted and whatever, and bring it back to you if that's what you want to do versus doing it the other way, because it might create a back and forth.
No, which one was first?
Just look like I was kind of on the same with Walt. I'm thinking by the time he even gets it to the lawyer, we get a response back. And then he takes the time to get it back and then get it out to us, whatever. And we meet again in 2 weeks. I think waiting the 2 weeks,
When's your next meeting?
2 weeks.
Right,
Every 2
the
weeks.
8th or the 15th?
I don't know.
Off the top of my head.
it'll be 2 weeks from today
I
is.
think it's the 8th, because the 1st is the Wednesday, May 1st is Wednesday, the 2nd Wednesday would be.
So it's the 8th is our meeting.
I believe so, I can confirm. Either way, it's gonna be in that first or second.
So you said it's the 8th, right?
Is the 8th.
I'm gonna talk out of, can I go? Are you done?
Yeah, I just had that quick comment kind of thought, so.
I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth.
Okay.
I guess, and I talked about losing the message with too much information, right? And it's about reminding responsible gun owners to ensure they maintain safety and remind them of the safety practices and remind them of what the best practices to keep it secure. However, if you were talking to me 3 years ago, 5 years ago, prior to actually being a licensed gun owner, in a family that had it in our home, I wouldn't know all that information, right? So as a family member in our community that has students in the schools that probably don't feel comfortable with guns, don't feel comfortable with guns in the home, don't feel comfortable with that, or they have limited knowledge, I think having those hyperlinks would be helpful to educate the other part of the population that probably doesn't know that, so they could feel more comfortable of what the laws actually are. I mean, I guess, again, I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. We don't want to lose the translation. You don't want to give them too much information because then the message is lost, right? But you also want to make sure that the entire community is fulfilled with this message, right? For those folks so they can feel comfortable about the message also. I'm conflicted. Because yes, I would like to have this thing sent out years ago. I mean, I was on maternity leave when Sandy Hook happened. Like it's. Anyways, my point is that I definitely think having this blast out going out yesterday would be paramount. But I definitely think, and I'm still conflicted about shortening the message or lengthening the message, depending on who is getting that. So I'm sorry, I'm wishy-washy about it, but I want to get it. I want to be right by all. I don't know what that looks like, and I'm ready for a further discussion on it because you had me a minute ago, and then I thought a little more, and then I heard what Rini had to say and different things. So I don't know what the right answer is.
Katie?
So I'm in favor of Bill's motion because I think the information is timely and it's important. I think that it's well written. I have no concerns about the way the language is presented. I don't have a problem with taking out the links and providing references to how people can get to CGS to figure out what the law actually says. And I think that given the manner in which the superintendent runs our district, there's not anybody who will be uncomfortable reaching out to Dr. Willett and saying, I saw this, could you provide me with some additional information, or where can I find additional information on this? If it's being vetted by the board attorney, I can't imagine that such a meticulous person isn't going to provide us with something that is, in good shape for us to get out the door.
Anybody else? Dan?
Yeah, no, I'm in favor of the way that it's currently drafted. I would just like it to be reviewed, obviously, but by legal. I'm not an attorney here, so as long as we're not speaking out of turn, I think I'm okay. Thanks.
I'm like you, Dana, I just want it out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever we need to do to get it out yesterday or as quick as possible, I'm in favor of.
Anybody else?
Just want to say, I side with Rini. I'd rather wait to see what the lawyer comes back with and before just having it sent out there if there's some sort of tweak that I'm not really in favor of. I don't want to vote for something that I just feel the vote is a little wishy-washy because we're like, if this happens, then this happens, it's gonna get sent out and that's what I'm voting on. And I'm not comfortable with that. But obviously, have the vote.
Go ahead, Jim.
Just to clarify, we're voting on something that we basically give to Dr. Willett to say, hey, can you present this to our board attorneys and review this and get back to us? So we're not necessarily voting on pushing this through tonight. We're voting on getting this vetted by our attorneys tonight. Is that what is happening tonight?
Well, we're voting basically to.
We're determining.
We're voting to give Dr. Willett the authorization to clear it through our attorney. And yes, provide it to us, but send it out.
Send it out after they've reviewed it.
Yeah,
And no further review after that point from the board.
that's the current motion that's on the table.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I'd just like to say, go ahead, Rini, you can go.
No, you can go ahead. You have not spoken. I just wanted to verify again. I would like a second read. That's it.
I was just gonna say that, I feel like Dana read torn too, and I completely respect what Brian and Rini are saying. They're not saying they don't agree with this. They wanna, see it after, look at it again. I guess the only thing that shifts me back to the other side is that I would feel that way if this was a new document. It's already gone out from other districts. It's, approved by the state. It's gone out through the state. So that to me makes me feel very comfortable with it. And again, it's just that niggling feeling in my stomach. Like I have 2 kids in school right now, do I want to wait 2 weeks, now that it's in front of me? And maybe that's maybe that's not the right thing, but I'm a parent and that's where I go with this, and being given this opportunity and still saying, we'll run it through the attorney, we'll have it checked, even though it has already, again, gone through the state. You know, I would be comfortable voting on this tonight, knowing again that Dr. Willet's gonna run it through the attorney and make some adjustments, so that's just where I stand on it. Anybody else?
My second one, you just said, verbatim, so.
All right, so why don't,
We have a motion on the floor. You can,
Yeah.
do a roll call to see if it's accepted. If it's knocked down, then you can make another motion. Or somebody can.
all right, so why don't we do that? Why don't we go through and vote and see where we are after that? Start with,
remember my glasses?
I'm okay. I know, I could
You're
just
not
look at
that-
Lisa's screen right here and I'm difficult. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. And I can't remember.
all right, Jane, you don't need, oh, yes, go ahead, read it. I was gonna say you don't need your glasses to vote, but you do.
No, just making sure I know.
Of course, yeah.
Aye.
And Brian.
I'll preface this though, I'm gonna vote nay, but I'm not against this letter going out. I just am more comfortable with the second read after any changes have been made. I'm voting no.
Bill?
In the spirit of wanting us all to be on the same page, and since one person has already voted no, I'm gonna vote no as well, so we can all be on the same page and get this unanimous. I think it's that important. What's that?
Do you put it, Dana? Aye. Dan?
Nay, I agree. I'd like to get everybody on the same page, so I just want everyone to be comfortable there.
Rini?
I appreciate other people hearing us. I can't vote yes on something that I actually have not seen the final version of. I'm not against this at all, but I would like to see the final version, so I'm gonna vote nay for now.
Katie?
Aye, it's all public information, so I'm comfortable with it.
Okay, so that. Great. Oof. The problem is here is that if I vote aye, I'm gonna stall the vote because it's going to be,
What happens with a tie vote? What's the
we have to,
process?
we'll have to put another, if the vote won't pass, we'll have to put another motion on the table.
So why the vote's not gonna pass? No matter what.
And then we just have another motion.
Then we'd have another
It
motion.
doesn't matter what you vote, the vote
All
doesn't
right,
pass.
so I just want to say I'm completely okay with the nays here. I'm on the same page as you are, but I just said that I would be an aye, so I'm gonna continue with the aye. Vote fails. I will entertain another motion.
I'd like to make a motion to put this through for a second read after the modifications from our attorney for our next board meeting. On the 8th.
Second,
Dr. Miller, you got that motion?
yeah,
I can be more eloquent if you'd like.
you got it typed out up there.
That's what I was figuring you were gonna go with, something on. It's not Shakespeare, but.
Okay. Do you want to read this?
You're still formulating your motion? There it comes.
I know, I just said it, but if you don't like the way I said it.
No, I
I'd be
didn't,
happy
I
to
just
read it.
didn't, I apologize, I was.
Oh, no, I just said
So we
I'm
have to
making a motion to advise the superintendent to provide it to the board attorneys and then provide the final document at our next board meeting.
And I second that.
And you can put all your stuff in there.
No, that works, as long as Lisa got it.
You got it, Lisa? Yep. Lisa's amazing.
Okay, discussion. Anybody?
No, other than, I'll just say, I'm not opposed, I want to be very clear, I'm not against this at all, and it's more so just a matter of, you know, can we get it ASAP versus, you know, let's let's take our time here. So, I appreciate the conversation we just had around this from everybody here. So that's all.
And I'll just say, I really wanna do the majority thing here but what I'm gonna go back to, unfortunately, is just a parent, and I've got to sleep at night, and now I'm taking this out 2 weeks, so I don't think I can, so I just wanna put that out there, but I'm not against anything that you guys are doing, and I support it, but that's that last little piece I just can't get through. I think that this is well documented so far, and I would sleep better knowing it went out as soon as possible, so.
I have a question,
Go ahead.
because I'm with you on that, and Bill and I want it yesterday. And I understand sometimes the red tape is brutal, but I understand wanting to make sure that we have all the information so that we can make the right proper decision. I guess my question is, Dr. Willett, how quickly can we get this to the lawyers, and how quickly can we have it back in front of the Board of Ed? And not that I want to do a special meeting, but we could do a special meeting on this
Well,
and have that literally be our only thing on the agenda. If, you know what I'm saying?
Would they have it back within 2 weeks?
Or would it be less?
you're probably better off sticking with 2 weeks.
So it will be 2 weeks around. Like, there's no way.
It's
that we're
hard for me
gonna-
to predict, but I would give it to them tomorrow, and then, we would get it back maybe in a week's time.
So it's not like we're talking about 2 weeks, we're talking about days. The
Right.
difference in a couple days
Yeah.
of sending.
By the time we get it back, then by the time I reach out to you to do a special session, after we get it back, it would be a couple that you'd be bumping into the meeting you already have.
I'm just trying to be creative.
So the difference between the two motions, we're talking not 2 weeks, we're only talking a couple of days in all reality.
Yeah, you're still gonna be close to the same time. And right now you have one motion on the table, right?
Yes.
So you might have to read it
But
back.
what Bill's saying is if I'm hearing you,
Mhm.
if we voted all to go through the first motion, by the time you'd have it back from the lawyers to send it out anyways, we're probably gonna be at our second board meeting.
Close to the second,
That's
right,
true.
that's
Yeah,
kind of what I'm
you're
getting.
gonna be in that timeline anyway.
Anybody else? Jaden, you're making movements, but
No, that helps a little bit. That helps a little bit. I would, I would like this being sent out sooner than later. I'm not gonna pretend like I don't want that. I just think, again, I think it's a fair point to make that, due diligence is to be had. But, as Katie made the point, all the information that's gonna be included in this is public, already, especially if you are already, a gun owner, so, yeah, that's my only comment.
okay. All right, unless there's anybody else, let's go on to the vote. Should we look at the motion again?
Roll call vote. Lisa, can you reread that?
Yeah, I just have one quick question, because up here was your motion. Motion to put, to advise the superintendent to provide it to the board attorney and provide the final document at the next board meeting. What's it?
CAGB parent letter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, she's good.
She's good.
All right, Jaden. You wanna come back?
No. Yes, please. Yes,
Okay,
please.
Brian,
Aye.
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Rini,
Aye.
Katie.
Aye.
I am a nay. Jaden?
Aye.
Okay, vote passes. We will do a second read at the next meeting.
What?
Okay,
I had one.
Thank you for
Oh,
bringing this, and thank you for participating.
yeah,
yes, thank you.
thank you.
All right, so you're gonna get a chance to pull some
No
information, so let's move on to, public participation. We have a 2-minute limit. Anyone in the room would like to speak, please step up and say your name and address. Anyone online, just raise your online hand. So would anyone set?
Sorry.
Okay,
I'm trying to find
Tonight, right in your way, reassign seats.
That's why I like this dude.
All right, and would anyone in the room like to participate?
They were waiting.
All right, I should have prepared written remark. Jennifer Macionis, 159 Woodhinge Drive. And thank you, Dr. Willett, for your call back today that I missed. So I want to thank all of you guys for your hard work on the board and Dr. Willett for the Herculean efforts. I'm extremely disappointed and dismayed at what town council did recently as far as making a lot of cuts to the schools that I think it was almost unanimous, maybe not quite, at the last town council meeting where public participation was allowed. Of course, there were people that were concerned about the budget, the town budget going up. But I would say the preponderance of people were in full support of the schools and Board of Ed getting the money that you requested. And at the time, I think a lot of parents who were in attendance and many people online or parents and non-parents, citizens, were in support. And I was completely shocked when I started hearing about layoffs that were beginning immediately at the high school. And these layoffs affect one person in particular that my daughter's very familiar with, who is a mentor. I'm sure other students are affected as well in every grade. And I know you guys have all done, you know, an incredible effort to try to prevent this. I just wanted to say I was completely taken aback. I think many people were. I don't know if you were. Maybe you guys saw that this was coming. I'm sure Dr. Willett, you know, probably saw that this could have been a request, but I think everyone thought they were in the middle ground, which was still poor, which still has impacts for the students and the parents and the citizenry of this town. And some of us had a really nice, amiable discussion after with town council members and Board of Ed members. And I thought that there was so much cross-pollination going on, a lot of respect, and I felt heard. And now, I mean, the prom advisor is being cut, you know, the high school librarian. I believe there could be an impact. Again, it's not my business, but students are talking about this. And I just wanted to express how much we appreciate all the work that you have done. And I'm sure it's collective disappointment. And I was literally shocked that the town council took that step. And I think it's very unfortunate for the youth that are still matriculating. So thank you for your time and all your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you. I wouldn't say it is your business. You live in town, you pay your taxes, it is your business. Everything in town is your business, so.
I just mean how the decisions are made.
You guys, we can't be back and forth right now. I'm sorry.
You can
Point to everybody back. Absolutely. Okay, we have Kate online.
Hi, good evening. Kate Ballo, 80 Tolland Green. Thank you for your time and for your service. I just have a very brief comment that I would like to add my take that it would be important for the Board of Education to cite their sources with communications going out to the public. I think that'd be being a great model for the community. Thanks.
Thank you, Kate. Anyone else in the room? No? Okay. Anyone else online? All right. We'll close out public participation. Let's move on to points of information. Would any board members like to speak at this time?
There you go, Brian.
Now's the time.
No, I just would like to say, I appreciate, I just always think, you know, some things you think in town, it's not, you know, necessarily your thing to say, or you shouldn't comment on this or that, but as a taxpayer regards the schools or the town or the parks or whatever, if you're participating to fund these activities, you know, say whatever you want to say. You know, the worst that happens is somebody doesn't like what you say, and you know, you go about your day just the same. So I'll say thank you for coming and speaking.
Yes, I appreciate what you had to say. I definitely was taken aback and disheartened. I've been on the board now for over 4 years, and every year it's more cuts, more cuts, more cuts. And I felt that our group, as Bill said, we've been working really hard to build consensus as a Board of Education. Although our vote wasn't all aligned with it because we all wanted that and more, right? So, we all publicly and privately supported what we presented to the town council. And it was a great step for improvement over the next several years. What I would challenge, you to do and others to do, is make sure that you continue to participate and speak as you did today, whether it's in the room, whether it's an email, speaking to your friends and neighbors, because traditionally, at referendum, we have a low count of voters that come in. So unfortunately, there's a very vocal, loud, small group that votes that's making an impact on all 15,000+ residents. So, getting people out to vote and understanding the impact of what that vote does, because if it's paramount that we're successful at our referendum, because we don't want to be in another scenario where it's worse. The reality of it is I feel like, you know, we have a good plan in place, but we need to make sure that our folks in town are aware of it. And it starts with everybody, to reach out to everybody. And I'll echo what Brian said is you have a voice and use it. I decided to run for Board of Ed for the people that think everything's gonna be okay. And they trust that the system's going to be okay. And to do what we can to make it, and everybody can make an impact. So thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I don't know if this is the time or the place or I should table this, but I did want to say I attended the Finance Committee meeting last week. I know there was some discussion regarding potentially of some union students coming into the district, going to another district or whatnot. About the funding that would possibly be coming into our district, and whether the town just pockets that money or we actually get something for the benefit of allocating more resources on our end, more teachers, more staff, more food, more toilet paper, more water, more electric. The list goes on and on and on. And whether it's not that you don't want to support these students that potentially would come in, but you want to make sure that we're doing it in a responsible way, that we're getting a benefit for that and not creating an extra tax burden when we're having difficulty funding our own students in town to begin with. So I would 110%, like whether it's Dan leading the way, Tony, whomever it might be, to have an honest and open, to get that discussion onto the town council tomorrow. Like, I want this to be done. I just want to make sure that this is done the right way. And I don't know if Dr. Willett has any insight on how the actual financial benefits of other towns, how the money that comes in does get either just into the town pockets, and we still get shortchanged at next budget cycle, and we still have to provide for these students, whether it be this year, next year, or another district 5 years from now. Don't know, you know, I just would like more information on that, but I think we definitely I would like a conversation with town council, even if it's just an open discussion for a line item on their agenda, just so we can have some debate going back and forth on ideas moving it forward. Or if it's even this school district, or if it's another one years down the road, so. And then another thing I had was, I think also could be a town council discussion as well. I know it might seem a very, very minor one, but I know when I spoke with the technology director at the high school, I know I keep bringing him up, but he was the one who really set a lot of the wheels in motion when I was speaking with him, and others were in the room at the time. But he said that, and I'm sure Dr. Will probably knows the exact figure, but that the old computers that get cycled out go to this like recycling thing and we get, I don't know, some menial $5 or $10 or $20 item for it. And now Bill had brought up to him, why can't we sell it to the people in town, these old computers? People want one for $50, an old laptop, that potentially people in town who can't maybe afford a $200 or $300 or $400 item might be able to get a used one. I might, even if it lasts them a year, something beneficial to the town. But then the director, I think, or even Walt was even there at the time, just mentioned, oh, the town would pocket that money. So I think there needs to be some discussion about these things that could, one, help out the town instead of sending these off to Timbuktu and nobody in town really benefiting. Somebody already purchased them. Like, so, I don't know, I just think those two items should definitely be somehow, some way put onto the town council's agenda, and whether I can attend, other people can attend, Tony can attend, or Dan or Walt or whoever can speak for us to move these forward in the next little bit, maybe hopefully before summertime comes, so we have some sort of idea of what their thoughts are before the next school year happens. So that's all I have to say.
I know I have a comment, but I just want to check with everybody else first. Anybody else have anything? Okay, so what I will say is, I think I've been very vocal. I'm completely heartbroken at losing staff. I think, what I really wish is that our town, any of our town council members or town employees, attended the administrative rounds.
I thought you were saying you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a spider has for Dana, I'm sorry.
So, I wish they would have attended the rounds because we talked about, a lot of things, obviously, and they could have asked as many questions as they want from the people directly running our individual schools. But one of the things that we did talk about at the high school, with the high school principal and vice principal is that, there's much more than just a cost of losing a particular section, losing a particular subject, losing the librarian. It is a person. It's the cost of losing a person. It's our students losing a person, right? There are plenty of adults in that building that run clubs and extracurriculars. They mentor, you talk about the advisory. When you have an advisory, you stick with the same teacher for all 4 years. You take away a teacher. Now these students have to start with somebody else. I know that, my son, he really utilizes the staff at the high school, and they're guides for him, and getting ready for college and all the things. To start over with someone else would set him back. So yeah, there's a tremendous loss to each individual that we're losing. And also, again, I'll state, I do not believe that this year we needed to lose anyone or cut any of these positions, especially given the number. I'm also saddened that the conversation always seems to turn to town versus BOE instead of the schools being the largest part of this community, as they are every community. And we all working together to have every single department in this town be thriving. This is the only department that was cut. So agree. Also agree completely with you, Brian, on your points and the discussions that we can continue to have. When you bring up the thought of bringing in additional revenue and what that will mean, it reminds me a lot of, the discussions that unfortunately were had by some counselors and now, social media. Whereas, moving over a loan that should never have been our debt automatically meant taking that money away from us. So yeah, my concern would be that then the next discussion would be, well, you brought this tuition in, so we're going to take you down that instead of allowing us to keep that tuition and add. A lot of people talked about other departments needing positions. 31 positions were requested from our administrators. And again, if our town council members or town employees went, they could have heard what we heard, which was the need for reading at Birch Grove, right? The need for social workers, the need for guidance counselors, and the specifics of the burdens that our staff are working on right now, and the concerns that our children are not getting the supports they need in several areas, but they were not there to hear that. And they seem, that seems to be lost. So agree, would like to have those conversations, would love a policy if we could. I mean, we have policies. If we brought in things, maybe they should be directed right to the BOE. And also, I would like, you know, we keep talking about this 5-year plan that everybody's nodding their head at around both tables. I would like a continuous update on that. So maybe that's something that Dan, you know, if you're discussing that in FFC, maybe where we are with the 5-year plan could be part of a committee update. So the board, if we're not able to attend the FFC meeting, we can hear where we are with that. We should also be meeting with the town council on that too, and seeing if they're planning to support us on a 5-year plan. It's not really a plan if we keep providing, if we can keep providing a number and then every year we're not holding to it. We can't make a plan that keeps us at level services and then allows us to add the things that we need. So I think that's it. Anybody else? No, Dr. Willett, do you want to respond to anything that was brought up?
I can, if you want. You know, the union situation, that we talked about in FFC, you know, we're still waiting, you know, I reached out to the attorney to figure out where we would be, with that. So I know we were going to report back to FFC, and then ultimately, if it is something that has possibility of occurring, that we would be talking about it as a board. So we're not really at that space right now, and we would be coming to the board with all the information about it, if and when that was something that was a possibility. So that's something that you know is not really determined at this time, but we're working on it. Still great to bring it up and to you know to want to make sure that it's eventually getting up here, and it will if it's a possibility. And we'll know by then where that would go from the point of view of funds. For technology, there was an FAQ question recently, and so that might help inform some of it, some of the stuff you'd asked. So it's the latest FAQ. So at the board site for those looking, you know, click on budget, click on FAQ doc, and it's the last question in the list. And it gives you an idea of how many devices we have and what we do with them. The devices are generally in extremely bad shape when they get to the end cycle, and they're used very much for parts. So we strip them of all kinds of things. Those that survive any aspect of that, they benefit the town because what will happen is they can be traded in and the cost is a little lower. You know, we get credits against the purchase that we'd be paying today. So that means that you end up paying a little less, but that's already worked into what they do. So generally what they're asking for already makes the assumption of some of these being traded back in to lower the cost of the replacement once you get it. But hundreds of these devices, like 775 of the devices haven't been online since 2024. They're in incredibly bad shape and they're used for parts. So it looks like on paper we have, you know, these 2,000 devices, but if you look at the FAQ, you'll see what we really have. You know, very, very many of these are used for parts. 194 are so old, Google won't support them anymore, so that they don't get updates. They're prone to viruses, things like that. Most of them are traded in.
Who's using them for parts? Our own technology services or this company to train them?
We repair them. We will repair our own Chromebooks. So some of them that are, so if the screen is blown or something, we'll take the parts from other machines and put them in the machines that, the kids are using. So if a child brings a machine to us that has damage, we obviously see why there was damage and, but if it's something that just happens, because of wear and tear, then we will take from the machines that have been, that are kind of held on to for parts, and we'll replace the screen or replace keys or replace things. We save a lot of money on maintenance that way by replacing things ourselves and keeping these things. Because if you send something out and you have to get a part from somewhere else, it's exponentially more expensive than if you're swapping out your own.
Oh, no, I understand that aspect.
So we strip them. It's kind of, there's not much left. And so it looks like on paper in an inventory, we have 2,000, but we do not. probably 1,000 of those are basically parts or really, really old, and we'll try to trade them in to get a little off the next ones, things like that.
But what I guess my question is, how old are the computers that you're swapping out?
So our cycle, it goes back to the plan that was presented to the board years ago. And it's, probably published it again for you guys. It has a replacement cycle of 3rd grade, 6th grade, and 9th grade. The kids use it for roughly the years of
So 3 years.
3 years, and then they get swapped out for parts or they get traded towards the next iteration.
But I guess what I'm trying to state when I talk with the director, I was like, these ones that are still operational and running. Instead of them trading them in, I know you're getting a discount, but if you're only gonna get a $20, $25, or $10 discount per computer, somebody in town, even if you had 75 of them, are willing to pay $50. Who cares if you're gonna trade them in for 10 if you're gonna get $50 for it?
Well, they go in two directions. They either become machines we use for parts if they're in a certain condition.
Yeah,
If they're traded in, they actually are accounted for in not asking more of the board or taxpayers when you're going to vote, right? If we do that, we take these and don't use them as trades or use them for parts per se. You might get some value. We'd have to surplus them. We'd surplus them to the town would sell them, the town would get the revenue. The problem is.
that's why I'm asking to have the conversation, so we get the revenue.
Right, but right now, it's set up
Oh, I understand how it's set up, that's why I even said it.
by ordinance, so.
Yes.
So the thing is, you would then have to ask for more in your budget because it's no longer being offset by these things. You know, we either wouldn't be able to use them for parts and we'd have to order parts that are new or send them out, or we wouldn't be able to use them for credits against the next purchase. Either way, you'll end up spending more money because that right now is offset by our using it for parts and our trading them in.
I completely disagree. Cause here's what I'm saying. All I'm saying is the ones that are usable, we can use whatever we're gonna use for parts. That aspect has no bearing on what my thought process is. My thought process is any computers that are working that we're gonna send back to company X, Y, and Z to get $10 back or whatever the price is. If we have 100 computers, my idea is that Bill, it was really Bill's idea. To take those 100 computers, offer them to people in the community who either want another laptop just to throw around at the house for $50, or people who might not be able to afford a $300 laptop, and bring that into their home and ask the town council for just let them all be aware, say, hey, instead of us getting $10 for these as a town, we would like to sell these to people and get, the $40 X difference. Can we keep that extra $40 difference? That should have no bearing on the parts, it should no bearing on what we're cycling one year or the next year. So I'm just saying, if we can ask that of the town council, it still should have no bearing on the cycle of the students of the computers. So that's what I'm trying to get.
Yeah.
And they should work fine. Like this computer here, 7 years old. I get all the updates from, wherever I bought this computer. So it's like Google, to say that Google doesn't provide updates from 3 years out, and I don't know who's giving that information out, but that's just a complete fallacy.
Well, some of them that are used for parts, for instance.
Yes.
Some of the ones in the inventory now are sold, they don't get updates. But the ones that we trade in, I think we get more than 10 for that, but, you just have to explain, I would have to understand better how the feeling is that this would be a greater benefit. Because right now, you actually do get a lower cost for the machines that you are getting because we trade them in. If you surplus them to the town, you actually no longer have direct control over that. And so somebody would have to decide, a lot of these it's not 3 years of your use of that laptop, it's 3 years of a child's use of that Chromebook. And most of these are not in fantastic shape after 3 years of every day in and out, you know, what happens to these. We see a lot of stuff that happens to these.
No, sure.
So that would mean that you'd have to sell them, you know, the town would have to take an inventory, would have to have a process for selling them, and then would have to turn the revenue back to the board. And that would be, you know, a process they would have to go through that right now, anything surplus to the town, when it's sold or whatever, it goes into the general fund, I think, or into one of the towns.
And that's policy, there's a policy that any
If
of our
you
equipment
if you
goes back.
surplus something, I think it's ordinance.
So we would have to open up the charter
Yeah,
to
it's
change your
I
ordinance,
think so. So that's a thing
and
that,
that's town council. Not
it's
us.
got some steps to
I'm
it.
just trying to help out the town, the school. I think getting $10 worth of versus 50, like,
Well, we don't know what the numbers are.
Yeah, I don't know if it's,
well, the director told me what I forget what the number was.
Yes.
He knew it. I mean, I could probably call him tomorrow. You can call him tomorrow and
yeah.
he'll give you the number right off the top of his head. I don't know. I'll table it for now. I'm just trying to generate some revenue for the.
Save the job.
And, you know, people who might not be able to afford a $300 laptop, if they can get one that they can just still have at home, even if it's Aunt Mary needs a computer, like, you know, for $50 versus, you know, everybody says we have these services, you know, whether it's for heating or fuel or whatever. Well, this is another service. We have a technology service to where you have 100 laptops every year that could be sold to the community. I mean, you know, at a reduced price. So.
what if you, I completely hear what you're saying, and I know that you're looking out for what we consider the best interest in, which is the students and the schools and the budget. What if you put your question in writing, sent it to Dr. Willett, maybe Dr. Willett, you could, consult, is it Adam? Sure, with the IT, our technology director, and maybe get an answer and post it to the dashboard. And why don't we look at it? Maybe it's something that, you know, you guys can take up in FFC as it's going forward. Why don't we get the information, see what makes sense, and then talk about it with some real numbers. It's nothing that needs to be done tomorrow, but again, maybe it's something that can be brought to FFC.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
You all raised your hands.
Sorry.
I'm good.
I know it took a lot.
Point out this policy, thought you might
Oh,
say
you're
the
right.
same thing as well.
We can put it on the itinerary.
Let's make a
for that
list
as
of
well.
what we want to get in that charter.
Yes.
Jane, did you? I thought I saw you.
Ditto.
Okay. All right, are we good?
I just have one thing that, totally different topic,
Okay.
a point of information. And tonight, so I try to be a stickler for the rules, for Robert's rules, as much as I can, so that we can have a good meeting. And, I didn't want to point of order anybody tonight because of the fact of the conversation we were having. But I want us all to be cognizant of the rule we all violated when we voted. We're not allowed to explain our vote, per Robert's rules. And I hate it because it made sense tonight and it worked so well for all of us when we were doing it. But the rule is against explanation of members during voting. A member has no right to explain their vote during voting. Be the same as a debate at such a time. So we have our chance to talk about it during discussion, and then that's when we do our vote. Again, I'm talking on both sides of my mouth again today because I felt like the conversation as touchy as it was with the gun awareness and such. And I felt that we were such on the right track, but I also want to make sure that if there's some information that I have, I educate myself and our teammates about protocol. That's all I have. It's one of those silly Robert's rules things that.
Okay, noted. I think I violated that as
We
well
all
when
did.
I went to.
100%.
I guess I just, I think some of us talked out of turn and whatnot tonight, but I guess the way I look at it as acting chair, but then also just as a board member is as long as we're respectful and we're not talking over each other and we're not arguing, that's why, even, as our speakers went over the 2-minute limit, they were wrapping it right up, so.
Well, no disrespect to that was.
No,
that.
I know.
Because we've done it before we've done it in the past, hence the reason why I looked it up. And, I saw it happening tonight. And again, no disrespect, your meeting was run beautifully. And I definitely think at that point in time, I wish we could throw the Robert's rules out the window because I think the conversation needed to happen. So I just want to make sure that I just communicate that.
Can we make that motion? Just kidding.
You're on board.
Throw Robert's rule out.
No, Robert's rules out.
Brian?
I do, understand what Dana, what you're saying, but I remember when we had the budget, like Dan and other people were given, the reasoning behind why they're voting. this
Hence the
way.
reason why I did the research.
Yeah,
Cause so maybe we're cognizant of it going
Yeah.
forward and we have the same discussion, we just do it during
Yeah.
discussion rather than right as we vote. Cause I definitely
And
violated
also,
it.
you go, in points of information, you can,
You can explain again, yeah,
you know.
okay.
It's, the design, I think, is to make sure that you rapidly get through voting,
Correct.
but it's not,
Okay.
And one other thing, is there any way, sorry, for future business, I'd like to have the conversation about what sport, conference we're in. Because that's not been the first time we've heard something about it. And that email that we got, and a couple emails we got, so I'd like to put that on future business if we can.
yeah, you have a request for that future business, it is being taken up by the executive committee.
Perfect. Cool.
Okay, now we're in future. So, Dr. Willett, would you like to lead the instructional round?
Yes, so, this has been there for a little bit, but I also sent out a reminder that you have the next instructional rounds coming up on May 23rd. It's going to be on dual enrollment, which in other words means kids that take our high school classes, but are also getting college credit for them. And so that would include UConn's early college experience and AP, and you'll get a good review of the classes. You'll get to talk to the teachers, same thing that you've been able to do in these other instructional rounds. So it's very valuable. Give you a really good perspective on dual enrollment and give you an opportunity to ask all kinds of questions. So I encourage you to jump in and do that if you can. It's going to be on the earlier side because it's the high school. So for those of you who are the early risers, more as early birds, 7:30, we'll be out by 10. So
All right,
I recommend.
thank you. So at this time, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Jaden?
Aye.
Brian?
Aye.
Dan? Or no, Bill? Dana? Dan?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. We are adjourned at 9:14.